You know, when we're all growing up, every single one of us always wants to make a movie. Whether it's when you're in middle school and you want to make a movie of you making cool basketball shots, doing these cool stuff on your bicycle, every single person wants to make a movie. But it's a whole different story when you're actually doing it for real. I've been filming for the last 7 years now. Now when I first started, I was making silly YouTube videos just like everybody else was. Something seemed different for me though. Me and my friend Corey, we watched these YouTube videos and we watched how they made all these comedy videos and they made it look easy and they made it look like it was fun. So like, hey, we want to do that stuff. I've got a camera. Let's go film some videos.
Oh, that's where all good things start. Girls on fire need a little flame.
One of the first videos that we decided to do was called The Mind Fails.
Love is gone, we're all players in this little game. Yeah.
After we finished that video, Corey and I were in math class, along with our friend Tyler. We were thinking about what we wanted the next project to be. And back in 2012, zombies were a pretty big thing. Like everybody was making movies about zombies. So it wasn't really a long thought process. We just kind of decided, hey, let's make a movie about zombies.
Alright, so this is ZRT, otherwise known as Zombie Reconnaissance Team. And me and my friends have put together this thing because we're going to be shooting some videos soon.
What we're going to be doing is that we're going to have a series of zombie films out for your enjoyment. So
this will be out sometime next year. And we're doing a character episodes for each single character, but in the meantime, we need your ideas, so please subscribe, leave a comment below.
The Mind Fails was 7 minutes, and then suddenly we were going to jump to over an hour. You know, the obvious solution to do for your second video. The whole point of this movie is not to focus on the zombies. The zombies are not the main focus of this. The main focus is this group of people who have their differences, and they have to fix those differences to deal with zombies. The movie's not about zombies. Zombies are just featured. This movie is about these group of friends who just need to help each other. So we had the script made for Zombie Recon Team, as it was called back then. We had the script already, and I talked with a couple of my close friends to play some of the parts. And you know, we're in high school, so we can't really bring on professional actors to play these parts, so we were just gonna do it ourselves. And you know, when you're in high school, you've got all these other things going on. You got your classes, you got sports. Like I was really busy on the swim team during the winter, which took up a lot of my time. I was manager for the girls' swim team. I had marching band during the fall, and I really needed to focus on my classes. And it was the same with everybody else. Everybody else had their own thing going on. So we just really never got around to it. And we would try every year. We'd say, we're gonna do it every single year. And it just didn't happen. In 2015, I was about to start my first video production classes at the DMEC Ankeny campus. I worked with really bad clients and I worked with really good clients. It was a really big learning experience, and I love going to all these different locations. That's what I love. I love to travel while I film. That's like my dream job. I want to be able to travel and film stuff. And each semester I started to have more knowledge and I got more access to more equipment. I started getting my own equipment. So when Video Production 3 ended, I finished out the rest of the school year, and I reworked again on the script, on the movie script, made some twerks on it, changed some stuff up, made it updated a little bit more, and made it a little bit more realistic in a way. I know it's zombies, so it's hard to say realistic when you have zombies, but just as realistic as you could, and more emotional, more human. And again, you know, I still was nervous about doing it. And this is like early 2017. I really wasn't sure how I was going to do it. I've been trying to do this for 5 years. Why was I just now going to be able to get it done? Unfortunately, in early 2017, My brother, Nathan Bandy, who was not doing very well and health-wise, his health began to deteriorate pretty badly. And unfortunately, he passed away on February 23rd. The first shoot I did after Nathan passed away was the part of the short film that we did in early March, and this is only about 3 or 4 weeks after he passed away. And I was camera operator on the shoot, and I was just making multiple mistakes. I wasn't really focused, and making rookie mistakes that I normally would never do. And for example, one of the basic things to do on the camera is on your monitor you have your display showing your battery level, your mic audio levels, and all that kind of stuff. And one of the other crew guys asked me to turn the displays off so we could see and make sure that nothing was in the background. I couldn't even remember where the display button was at. And I really made a fool of myself. And I didn't tell any of these other people because I didn't want to go around telling people that. It just didn't seem right. So one of the other crew guys was really starting to tick me off. But he had no way of knowing. From his point of view, it just looked like I was some kid who had no idea what he was doing. It wasn't really his fault. He didn't know. And I was really embarrassed, and I knew this wasn't me, and I made up my mind that I was just gonna get out of filming. I didn't really want to do it anymore because my motivation for it was gone. It was just what I wanted to do. But I remember a very brief conversation we had in the hospital. It was just me and him in the room. My parents had stepped out for a little bit to talk to doctors. And he didn't say much. I mentioned how I think I was just trying to strike up a conversation that I had been working on the script again. Because I told him about it a couple of times over the years. And he said, yeah, that was cool. And then, yeah, you should go do it.
You're the producer, right?
No, the director.
The director.
Okay, kind of, yeah. I'm the director, the writer, and producer for the Z Triangle.
Hi, this is Kennon Bellile, auditioning for the part of Richard.
You ready?
Stop your advice, Sarah!
Hi, I'm Samantha Callison.
One of the first things I decided to do when I started to get the movie going, my original thought was nervous because I knew this was going to require a lot of work, like a lot, more than what I've normally done on my other projects. I originally was immediately the obvious choice, like, well, let's go find actors. And I was reminded by a friend that get crew first, because if you don't have a crew, your actors are going to be worthless. So I started putting my crew together. The director of photography was a fairly easy choice.
Being director of photography for such a talented director like Aaron Bandy is, it was truly an honor. This was a great, fun film to be a part of. The weather was fantastic for most of it.
Like, he did a really good job, and I really was impressed with some of his shot ideas.
I'm having a hard time describing it. It was just a great time. It was, and I felt very honored. I felt like my skills were definitely put to the test in a lot of this film. I felt like there were a lot of experimental shots, a lot of fun improvising that we had to do. I remember one shot in particular. I was sitting in the back of a car, having to do a steady cam with a running shot with Eli, and that was great. That was probably one of my favorite shots of the film.
Then I needed an assistant director.
What I think I was most impressed by during the production of the Z Triangle was probably Aaron's resilience. He mentioned he'd been working on this project for probably about 5 years before we actually started filming. And even leading up to it, we had a few hiccups here and there. Another thing that I was also impressed by was that he was able to bring together a full cast and crew with no budget. Everybody that worked on it was there as a volunteer, and they believed in his vision and just wanted to help him see it through to completion.
Scott did a lot of the behind-the-scenes stuff also in the later half of the shoots. And I think Scott really seemed to enjoy it. I think he felt like a reality TV show camera operator who would just follow everybody around.
Scott, are you like a reality show cameraman who just films everything?
All right, so what have you asked me to do here? Scott, I want you to go ahead and film behind the scenes, but I don't want you to film behind the scenes.
He and Ken seem to have a fun time doing BTS.
That car's just like, what are they doing? Don't get in a wreck.
You're very demanding. Go quickly. Go again. Don't get in a wreck.
If we put this on a DVD, you need to have a special feature that tells us just about the makeup.
Okay.
I knew makeup was going to be an important thing. I wasn't sure how I should do it. I found this page called Iowa Film, and when I sent out the casting calls, I made a casting call for that. This time after I had crew together, I made one for actors. So I made one for all the main characters, and one of the people who contacted me was Lana Rouser.
I got involved in the Z Triangle by going on the Iowa Film Facebook page, and I saw that Aaron had posted an article about casting for his movie The Z Triangle, and when I actually sent in something, I emailed him and I told him that I actually originally wanted to try out for the role of Sarah, and along with that I showed him some of the images of the makeup that I've done before for zombies.
So when it came time for audition, she came in and she did a pretty good job. I figured think this part should go to somebody else, and she understood that. And most people you think would hit you with anger, like, well, why didn't you give me the part? Well, how could you do this? She never once raised her voice, and she actually offered to do makeup.
And he had liked that a lot, so the thing was that he wanted to know if I would better be fit for the makeup rather than be fit for the role of Sarah.
I feel creeped out right now. Scott's videotaping.
Yeah, I'm videotaping you put blood on people's faces.
Yeah, that's a little weird.
And she showed me some of her work. I was like, wow, this actually could work. So when Samantha got the part of Sarah, then I knew instantly, hey, let's get Lana on board to do makeup.
Why the F me? You're a good.
Chris contacted me fairly early on. I think when I first met him, he was in talks to play Lucas. But then that ended up not working out. So then he told me that he was starting to crew on multiple film productions in Iowa, and he'd love to crew on this one too.
This is probably going to be a kind of short and basic answer, but on the Facebook group called Iowa Film, I saw that the director Aaron Bandy had a casting call for characters on his upcoming full feature called the Z Triangle. And as a production assistant, I always kind of try to reach out to people, even though they're not looking for crew, to see if they need crew. And thankfully I did, because when I reached out to Aaron, he said that he could use my help, and that's basically how I got on the set of the Z Triangle.
I'm always nervous when I'm working with people for the first time because I just never know what they're going to be like. But when I arrived on the first day shoot, I arrived to the set about 2 hours early. Chris was pretty much already there. He was really ready to go. And that caught my attention right away, is that he was early, he was never late, he was always on time. Even if he had any kind of roadblocks, Chris always managed to show up on time. And it was easy to spot him out because he always wore this black shirt that said film crew on it. So it's like, well, gee, I wonder where Chris is.
My mentor, Janet Urban, basically, had us do some trainings and told us that we do not need to go to film school. Do not waste your money. Don't waste your time. Take these film courses and declare yourself as a production assistant. When I first heard this, I didn't think it was, going to be that easy. Just say, oh, I'm a production assistant, I'd love to help out, blah, blah. But, and believe it or not, this is actually the way to go, is to start out as a production assistant and go from there.
Hey Caleb, you want to see Emily's makeup?
Yeah.
Alright, it's not really all that good, I'm just warning you right now. There was one person in particular I knew right away that I should contact about helping out. That was Caleb Stevens.
So yeah, I got this email from Aaron, and I was like, "What, a movie? I want to work with a movie."
Caleb and I had worked together on Joshua Sinclair's music video, Circles, in Video Productions 3, where Simon directed and I produced. And for a guy as young as he is, he really had a lot of knowledge about camera work and editing. For his age, that does not happen very often. That takes a lot of dedication at that age. Because when I was his age, I was making stupid YouTube videos. Caleb was he just really impressed me right off the bat. So when it came time to do this, I asked him right off the bat, do you know any actors?
Kennon acted before. Should I'm gonna tell Aaron about Kennon, and then Kennon got involved.
Fine!
Oh, dude!
I got involved in the Z Triangle through Caleb Stevens, the co-producer. I've known him for a number of years. And when he said, hey, this guy Aaron is making a feature film, I jumped at the chance because I'm like, who doesn't want to be in a feature film? And so I read the script, and Aaron told me that my part was Richard, and that he saw me in something that Caleb Stevens directed, a little short film called Take a Step Back.
And in it featured this guy with a beard, and he's standing on the ledge of this building, and he's threatening to jump. And Caleb shows like this montage of what his life will be like if he just takes a step back and looks at life. And I knew instantly, watching that part, that Kennon was for the role of Richard.
I fight zombies like meh. And then I'm like, Lucas, how?
I did also audition for the part of Lucas. I was interested in both of those parts, but it ended up that Richard was the role that fit me best.
This is the guy. Yep, this is the right choice. Thank you, Caleb.
You always have a wall of the time when Kennon's on set.
Sarah, are you okay?
Are you okay?
Go back.
I'm sorry.
Are you alright?
Kennon, as an actor, he's extremely fun on set. He's very high energy.
Because at this point when we started, I hadn't seen him act in anything. I'd just seen him direct or do camera work for it. But I think he did a really good job embodying the character. So like if I would go back and read the script, like I would just see Kennon in my mind when I'd read it. He was the character.
Kennon is a funny guy. He made me laugh a lot and I miss him.
Wow, do you find out he's hilarious and very talented with music.
Kennon really brought a lot of joy to the part of Richard. And when you're doing like these long shoots, sometimes you need some laughs. But when it's getting long days, Kennon was there to step in and make us all feel better. And he always tried his best. He's gonna say that he only tried on the last day. That's not true. He gave it his all on every single day. Especially on that first day. He was like the most energetic out of all the other cast members on the first day.
Behind the scenes, day one, I hate this guy. As you can see, he looks like a really hateable person. That was a voice crack. Yeah, so thanks for watching Z Triangle Behind the Scenes Day 1. Bye now.
I don't know what my place is in this group.
The character of Sarah need to be more of a more serious tone. Sarah doesn't really say much jokes during the movie. She's a more darker character. This character has had a darker past. And I wasn't originally quite sure how I wanted to go down with it originally. I wasn't sure if I just wanted Sarah to be like this energetic girl who has a dark past, or if I wanted her to seem almost like more sad. Not so like depressed and not so angry. And so Sarah was like probably the hardest one to cast for in the movie. And there was a lot of girls that came in to audition for the part of Sarah. And they tried their own styles. We had one that tried more of an angrier tone. We had tried one that was more casual tone, kind of like what I was thinking of in the script. And then there was a more sadder one who's just kind of filled with this loneliness. And that was what Samantha did.
So Dylan saw a post on Facebook and he brought it to my attention that I could possibly audition for one of the characters. And Sarah sounded kind of like in my ballpark. Like she was like sad and depressed and then has to be strong. And I don't know, just she sounded like an interesting character and I connected with her right away. So I decided to do a video audition, and I got the part.
And so I knew right away that my original way I had Sarah scripted was not right. It wasn't right. Because originally, I did go with another actor originally for Sarah, and she ended up not working out. She had other stuff she found out she had to do instead. And it wasn't, and I made sure I didn't just go like, oh, just get the second person. I spent a little bit longer watching the audition tapes again, trying to figure out which is the right way to go, because I thought I was right about the first way to go, and that turned out to be wrong. So how's the other way I want to go with it? Do I want to go with more angry, or do I want to go with more sad and lonely? And I decided more sad and lonely was the right way to go. So I called Samantha up, and she was still ready to do the part, and she was ready to do it. And she did a really good job.
You sound surprised.
And you can really see, as you watch the movie, you'll really see how Samantha progresses. Like, she starts to really become Sarah throughout the movie. And there's one scene in particular that I'm really excited for you all to see, where Samantha really just blows me away. Like, it almost brought me to tears. Like, because I'm just watching her, I've seen how much she's progressed since we filmed this. Because the time where we did this particular scene was about 3 weeks in. And 3 weeks is a long time when you're filming a video, movie, whatever. That's a long time. And she really became Sarah. And she did a really good job. I was very impressed.
I was always shy and I didn't really grow as a person until I had kids, and then I was still kind of all about them until I got a divorce and my life was turned upside down, and I decided to do something I'd never done before, and that was inspired by my newfound love, and yeah, he pushed me to go out of my comfort zone, and I did.
Yeah, so maybe you guys don't know this, but we're actually a couple. And we had a baby, and his name's Jasper, and he's adorable.
Samantha was really great to work with because she was, all the other leads besides us two were guys, so we definitely just sort of had that bond where we could go and talk and just hang out and just have our girl time. And she was just really sweet.
She's really nice, and she's good at acting, but she also makes sure that everyone else on set, cast or crew, is okay.
Samantha was a lot of fun to work with too, and it was interesting to see Dylan and Samantha's relationship alongside the Z Triangle as well.
She had her own family that I didn't know about at first, and she raised a family and came down and did this part. So that takes a lot of dedication. She did a really fabulous job. The role of Kyle was gonna be probably my favorite one to cast, because Kyle is pretty much the stereotypical jerk. I got an email from this guy named Arik Hess.
You didn't expect this? You didn't see this coming?
I saw the director's Facebook post, and who doesn't want to be in a movie? And I read the script, I liked the script, and I always wanted to. I finally had an opportunity to go for it. It was kind of my first project, but I had another project going on at the same time. And it just intrigued me enough that I got into it, and I haven't stopped since.
And he was super nervous, super worried. I could tell he was really wanting to do this, but I could tell he was super nervous. I talked to him for a little bit, and he wasn't able to make it to the in-person audition, so I told him to send a video audition in, and I got the Google Doc invite of his audition. And I open it up, and I see the thumbnail, and I see this bigger guy, big tall guy. He's got filled with muscle, and he's got a cool hairstyle, and it's oh yes, this is literally what Kyle should look like. This is perfect. With my luck though, this guy cannot act to save his life, and I'm gonna cry. Arik did it. He actually did a really good job. Arik was Kyle.
Out of all the projects listed on Iowa Film, I chose the Z Triangle because, well, for one, it was different. It had a very kind of a different script to it, and which drew me in. But it was also one of the very few feature lengths possible. And I don't know, the timing really worked out too, but like with some projects, they don't really draw your interest as much. For example, it could be anything from like them just needing extras to fulfill this certain small role. While this was the first time really on Iowa Film that I saw right away, for someone who fit my age that could take a character all the way throughout a feature film and give that the development and kind of live that character.
What I didn't realize at first though, I didn't realize that Arik had to drive 4 hours to get to set.
I went to Alaska for I think 2 weeks. It was, yeah, at least 2 weeks. And I came back, I did that right kind of in the mid stage of filming. And I came back, I actually had, I think it was a 13-hour flight. And then as soon as I got off my ride back from Alaska, I drove 9 hours straight to go to filming for the Z Triangle and then filmed all day. It was a good experience, so I'd do it again.
We met first day on the set, and I hadn't met him before, but as soon as we started talking, we just hit it off, which was nice because I had to spend a lot of time with him. So I didn't want to really spend time with a person I hated. But yeah, it was just a lot of fun. He's a great guy. He got me this watch. See, look, it says Richard.
He is like that strong, buff-looking guy that you would think is kind of a jerk, but then down to the core, he's super sweet and he's just a little teddy bear.
He definitely also like looks the character, you know, he's like buff, muscly, like looks like he looks like he could get angry and like punch someone if he wanted, but he was really nice so he wouldn't do that.
On the first day of on set, there was one last cookie and I took it and he said, "That's my cookie." But I told him I wanted the cookie, so he punched me in the face and took the cookie. But we became friends after that.
And the good thing about Arik is Arik was never once late. And he lived the farthest away from everybody else. Most of the other cast crew lived in the Des Moines area. Dylan and Samantha lived about 2 hours away. Some days he beat me to the set. He was never once late. And he always had extra stuff with him. I would bring craft services and water and all that. Arik always had more extra water if we needed it. He had more stuff we could use, like to keep us more cool, to block off some of the sun. He always had extra equipment. The guy was always prepared. He like never let any obstacles slow him down. And I think he just had a fun time doing it. Then Caleb also helped to find the actor who would play the role of Brittany.
I promised Lucas that I would look after you.
Even when he's not near me, I can't get away from him.
I think we worked with MIKALA on the Joppa Kid shoot, and then I was like, Aaron, MIKALA's pretty good.
Caleb Stevens, the co-producer, mentioned my name to Aaron Bandy, and I auditioned, and I made it. Alright, so my character, Brittany, she's a really independent girl, especially by comparison to Samantha's character, who is the other female lead. And so she really likes doing stuff like by herself and being very like self-dependent, not reliant on everybody, and sometimes gets very guarded because of that.
And she was a really good actor. And she always had a big smile on her face. So it was really strange seeing her become Brittany in some of these darker scenes where she does not smile and she literally looks like she could kick your rear. And that's the part of being an actor, is you want to surprise people. You want people to not think like, oh, there's no way I should be scared of this person. Yeah, MIKALA can intimidate you when she gets into character.
I started doing acting when I was in my 6th grade play at school. That was my debut, and I always watched plays that my sister was in when I was even younger than that, and so I just sort of grew up watching it, and I just really liked how it looked and just everyone pretending to be all these like different people that they weren't, and I thought it was interesting. And then just the older I got, I started getting more into film acting, and that's how I ended up here.
Everybody needs to be strong. Yes, everybody's got their own differences, but everybody needs to be strong. So that's what Brittany does, and that's what Samantha does. Everybody in here is strong. There's nobody here who's weak. Everybody starts out weak, but then they get strong together.
She is just so spunky and funny, and that is right in front of you. She does not hide it.
I think MIKALA was actually introduced to Aaron and the Z Triangle through some work me and Caleb had done. We had done a volunteer promotional video for a homeless outreach, and MIKALA starred in that. And we found her through Facebook. So that was kind of an interesting relationship that started. So when MIKALA was brought onto the Z Triangle, it was fun to work alongside someone I'd already established a connection with. And she's a lot of fun. She's a little too sarcastic, but you know.
She was always full of passion and wanted to do the best she possibly could.
MIKALA's talented, and actually she kind of caught me off guard at first. She's talented, she's fun to work with. Once again, I know her pretty decently well off camera now. And it was great to work with her.
And she always just was such a good sport. And the fact that she knew Caleb well, she knew Kennon well, and she knew Eli well, and she knew Eli, so you had some chemistry there. I always loved writing scenes for her because I felt finally better about the character of Brittany, because originally I wasn't sure if I was just going to have to cut the character out. If the role had gone to probably anybody else but MIKALA, Brittany probably would have been written out, just because I was worried about how to write for her, but MIKALA made it work.
And he's Lucas, apparently my bodyguard.
Glad to see you survived the plane crash, Lucas. Thanks a lot.
Lucas was the character that probably stressed me out the most. I had cast an actor originally to play Lucas. And halfway to set on the first day, I got a call from him and he wasn't going to be able to make it because he had fallen ill. By the time he started to feel better, it would have been too late. We would have had so many plot holes. And so I was this close to writing Lucas out. And then a name was recommended to me for ELI FOX.
Yo, man, I love flying on the plane. It gave me a new experience, not only with acting, but just being around just different props. Oh, what up? Okay,
And ELI FOX did a lot of stage work. He was a great photographer, and he was always traveling around to see the world. And I was worried at first that when I first contacted him, he wouldn't be able to do it, because at the time I first contacted him, I contacted him about 2 days before we started to film again. Because we filmed the whole first weekend. We filmed Friday and Saturday. No, we filmed Saturday and Sunday without Lucas on set. And the next time we came back together was the following Friday. And so Eli had about 2 days to prepare. And I was really worried he wasn't going to be able to do it. And Eli said, yeah, I'll do it. So he showed up to the house, and we met him for the first time. And he was just this really nice guy. And like a lot of everybody else, Eli never once argued. If I told him I wanted to do something, he's just like, okay, yeah, I can do that, yep. And he did it. Though I always felt bad for Eli because a lot of the other guys got about 2 months to prepare for their roles. Eli got about 2 days. So I felt extremely guilty about that. I felt really bad because I didn't want it to be Eli just reading lines. I wanted it to be Eli playing Lucas. And with dealing with all that stress, Eli made it work. He didn't let it get to him.
Yeah, man. Flying was great. I can't wait to actually fly one now, so.
Can we go skydiving?
Hey, anything's possible. Let's do it.
Eli I did know before the shoot, so it was fun working with him because we already had a relationship that we, not romantic, but we already knew each other and were friends. So that kind of helped with the chemistry. And so when I heard that he was the one stepping in to play Lucas, I was really excited about that because I'm like, oh, it's someone I already know. And yeah, once again, just always joking I just want to say backstage, but joking off screen. And he was really busy, but he still, whenever he was here, he'd put his attention to it and stuff. So.
And of course, Eli just jumped up and came to the rescue, basically, to the Z Triangle, and I think he did a great job.
Eli, he came on set quite late. He was actually a replacement, but he was very professional. He was always, when he was there, he was very he took orders nicely and made sure he did his job the best he could.
He's very good at bringing forth his emotions on the, just right like that, and he's great for when the actors kind of work together to choreograph a scene and kind of figuring out the more dynamic scenes. He's great for that.
Eli, I didn't really get much time with him, but when he did come for filming, you know, he seemed very professional and fun and still like jumped right in and did what he had to do with us, so.
And a lot of times with his busy schedule, he wasn't able to stick around very long, but he was always in there long enough to get his scenes done and get them done the way I wanted them to. Probably the most important character in this entire movie is Brogan.
Well, it was nice knowing you guys!
After I did the rewrites in early 2017, I made Brogan a much more serious character. Like, he's nowhere near a comic relief character. He's the character that really brings the audience's attention more into the movie, that makes you realize, hey, you know, this isn't really a comedy movie. This has got some darker stuff. And Dylan was one of the first actors to contact me about playing a part.
Last summer, I was looking on Facebook for auditions, and I came across Aaron's post that he's making the feature film, The Z Triangle. So I messaged him, and we set up a time for auditions, and I told him I was interested in Brogan, and they liked what I had.
Dylan was probably the most experienced actor out of everybody who was on the movie. There's one scene in particular where he just completely, and I'm excited for people to see this, he completely shifts personality. Because if you've seen it in the trailer, a lot of people commented that they hoped Brogan was the one who would die first. But there's one scene later in the movie where Dylan just completely changes his personality, and you make it realize, whoa, Dylan, don't just typecast Dylan as a dark actor. He can do some pretty different stuff too.
I started acting back in high school, in 2009, doing stage plays and musicals, and continued to do some like semi-professional theater productions after high school. And I went on a hiatus to start working in the medical field for quite a few years before I got into acting in films. Acting's always been my biggest passion, so I decided to leave the medical field and become a full-time actor.
So we took him to the studio, and he did his audition, and he had all of his lines memorized, and I was like, geez, he's really getting into depth with this. And he told me how he was a method actor. And I was worried at first about that because I wasn't sure if Dylan was just going to go full out Jared Leto on us and would just never come out of character and never would interact with the cast, because I want everybody to be close. I didn't want this to just be a disc thing where people came in once in a while to film lines and then they go home. And I think when we started to become as a family, he really started to develop. Like, he spent less and less time, unless it was a really dark scene, he spent less and less time getting himself in the character. And he's actually got a pretty good big sense of humor. And proved me wrong.
Method acting, yes. That is something I've practiced since day one. And the funny thing was, I was method acting before I knew I was method acting. I didn't know what method acting was. It just kind of came naturally. But it's the only way I know how to act. If you don't know what method acting is, look it up. It's a interesting way to go about acting.
I'm pretty close with Dylan. I mean, generally, I'm pretty close with most people I've worked on it. But Dylan's very talented. He's a method actor, which it's interesting because sometimes you don't really know what you're going to get with a method actor. Sometimes they go full character and they can be hard to work with. But Dylan was great to work with, and he had good results, and he always brings his A game. He's always committed to that character and always trying to think of new things, and that was pretty impressive.
I'd say Dylan was definitely, he was very intense about his work, and he had like a really like damaged and like dark character, and he would sort of like embody that, do a lot of method acting like on and off screen, and so he'd just always be like 110% in the zone. Even when he was like not on set, he would still be like focusing and thinking of the characters, and he definitely brought a lot to the character.
Dylan was a blast to work with. He offered a lot to the Z Triangle in his passion. He went above and beyond in what he gave to Aaron's vision, and I think he added a monstrous amount of talent to the Z Triangle, and it was really cool to see him work.
And when he told me that him and Samantha were dating, I knew that was going to be perfect, because those two characters need that chemistry because they share a lot of scenes together. And sometimes Dylan honestly would scare me a little, because I never could tell, like, are you acting or are you joking around? And sometimes he'd like to prank me with that, so I was like, oh, I hate you. He did a really fantastic job, and he did multiple other videos while we shot the movie. He did his short Morris, which Dylan won an award for Best Actor on. When he won that award, I was like, geez, we really got some talent on this set. Can I lock the door? I'm sorry.